Ladies and gentlemen, please put our hands together in welcoming our guest of honor, Minister for Education, Mr. Chan Chun Sing. We hope you enjoyed the short introductory video put together by NIE's Center for Innovation in Learning. Minister, distinguished guests, eminent keynote speakers, delegates from the Association of Southeast Asian Teacher Education Network, esteemed scholars, researchers, and educators. We warmly welcome you to the opening ceremony of the 2024 Redesigning Pedagogy International Conference, RPIC, organized by the National Institute of Education. The theme for this year's conference is Growing Future-Ready Teachers and Learners, Collaborative Research for Educational Change. The first RPIC was held in 2005, and here's a fun fact. 2005 was the first year the very first YouTube video was uploaded on the internet. iPhone was not even invented till 2 years later. That year, RPIC received more than 100 abstract submissions. Fast forward to 2024, this is the 10th RPIC organized by NIE. This year, we received almost 400 submissions from 18 different countries. RPIC has become a major education research and practice conference in Singapore and internationally. It serves as a platform for researchers and practitioners to forge innovative directions and partnerships for research and practice. We hope you will have an opportunity to share new insights for teaching and learning and exchange ideas for school and classroom improvements. Now, without further ado, we would like to invite Professor Christine Goh, NIE Director, to deliver the welcome address. Director, please.
Good morning. This is a bright and warm morning, and it is a great start to the conference. Good morning, Minister, Mr. Chan Chun Sing, Minister for Education and Minister in charge of the Public Service, all our distinguished guests and colleagues. Well, you have heard Dr. Goh Sao-Yi give you an introduction to the beginnings of the RPIC. And indeed, what we're doing today is we are marking the 10th anniversary of the Redesigning Pedagogy International Conference. And I'm so delighted to extend a very warm welcome to all of you, especially our distinguished visitors who have traveled from around the globe to be with us, and of course, many of our colleagues in Singapore who are joining us. A special mention goes to many of the representatives of the Association of Southeast Asian Teacher Education Network, or ASTEN, colleagues who were here yesterday for the 17th meeting of presidents of these networks in ASEAN. We are so delighted and honored to have with us our keynote speakers, Professor William Panuel, Professor Mutlu Kukurova, and our own Professor Kenneth Poon, as well as our esteemed fourth Dr. Ruth Wong Professor, Professor Elaine Manta. Welcome to NIE and to Singapore. As Dr. Goh Sao-Yi has mentioned just now, the theme of our conference is Growing Future-Ready Teachers and Learners, Collaborative Research for Educational Change. And we know that conferences are good platforms, not just for disseminating research, but it is actually the building of an ecosystem where dynamic exchanges about research, the applications of research, the implications of research are discussed, debated, and this is really the heart of research, where we share our findings and we invite comments and reviews and feedbacks from our peers so that we can continue to sharpen our areas of research. And today we have with us many participants from different sectors, if you like. One of the big group of participants today are our teachers. In Singapore, we emphasize the importance of teachers developing their research literacy as well as their research skills. So we will have many opportunities to hear Singapore teachers present their research to participants in Singapore as well as international participants. We also have with us many participants who are from other countries and also those who are from Singapore but from other institutes of higher learning. I want to thank all the participants for choosing to come to RPIC. For the early career researchers, I hope that you will find that this conference is going to be a platform that you're going to have and use in the years to come, to continue to share your research and also to disseminate some of the ideas that you have. And amongst you are also many very seasoned researchers. Thank you again for choosing RPIC. Many of you have been to previous RPICs and you're back. And we hope that for our researchers, colleagues from other countries, you will continue to mark RPIC on your calendar so that you will want to come back to RPIC to continue to build that network and also to continue to share your ideas about your research. The theme for this year's conference, as Dr. Goh Sao-Yi has said, is Growing Future-Ready Teachers and Learners, Collaborative Research for Educational Change. Now, we know that the term future readiness or future-ready learners, future-ready teachers, this term future-ready has been used a lot. And there are many facets to future readiness. And I believe the conference today and in the next 2 days will provide us with the insights into these different facets of what it means to be future ready. And I believe that future readiness is not static because the future isn't static. The future keeps changing. And so our understanding, our construct of future readiness must be an evolving one. As we see the needs, the challenges around us, and we see how we should bring up the children in our schools, in our institutes of higher learning, in order to be ready for this future that is constantly evolving. In fact, some people say it is not evolving, it's not that slow, it is transforming very quickly. And we see the impact of technology, for example. The relentless advancements of technology has put all educators in a situation where we must ask ourselves this question: how are we preparing our learners for this future? In fact, the future is already here. At the same time, we also know that technology itself provides many opportunities, not just for learning, but also opportunities for thinking and learning differently. But at the same time, because of access to different platforms through technology, we are also asking ourselves, how do we help to nurture our students in schools so that they will become responsible individuals, people who are ethical, and people who will care for the environment and care for one another. Technology evolves so fast, and unless we as educators think about how we should help to nurture our learners, we might actually find ourselves in a situation where a lot of the things that are out there through technology are the things that are educating our students. And I strongly believe that teachers, educators still have a very key role to play, not just in the use of technology to teach in schools or in institutes of higher learning, but also to recognize and acknowledge the changes that are happening in the education landscape because of technology. And I know that you'll hear quite a lot about it at this conference because many of the papers will be on technology. We also have a keynote on technology. But I just want to share this thought with you because I believe that a conference such as this is not just a platform for individuals to present our papers. It is a platform to engage in conversations, sometimes even difficult conversations, about how the research that we are doing really has an impact on teaching and learning. Now, in NIE, we have done education research for several decades, at least 2 decades now, in a formal sort of way. Dr. Goh Xiaoyi mentioned, the first conference, but in NIE, in 2002, we also developed something called we founded the Center for Research in Pedagogy and Practice, CRPP. That was when we had the first tranche of funds from the MOE, $48 million, to start looking into things that are happening in the classroom, how our students learn, how the interactions take place. Now, fast forward 20 years, as NIE looks back, we have also established 2 other research centers. In 2017, we established the Center for Research in Child Development, looking at how children learn from a very young age, and in fact now we are even looking at infancy, even at prenatal situations, all the way to preschools. We also established in 2021 the Center, the Science of Learning in Education Center, SOLEC, where we bring together understanding and knowledge about different disciplines, neuroscience, cognitive science, psychology, technology, and education, to help us address some of the challenges that we still experience in the classroom and also in learning right across the lifespan. And in recent years, we have also set up 2 other centers, the Singapore Center for Character and Citizenship Education, which has 2 roles. One is to ensure that there is an integrated approach to educating our students in schools, good citizenship dispositions. At the same time, there's also research that's conducted in character development and citizenship education. So helping our students in school develop their character and citizenship dispositions are very important. And one of the ways in which we want to continue to inform the Singapore education system is through research. We've also set up a Center for Assessment and Evaluation. And this is a very important part of education, as we all know. Assessment, not just measurement, but the whole range of processes to elicit data that can inform us about how learners learn. And the evaluation of our programs and programs that are conducted in other places. And these are important not only in education, but also in research. And finally, we have a Sustainability Learning Lab, which has been established for many years, but we refreshed it last year because sustainability education is such an important part of education. And we're going to hear also from researchers about sustainability education and the research that's gone into it. So in NIE, we are actually very happy and that we are able to play this role in not just providing programs to educate teachers, but also to provide opportunities for researchers to do research on different aspects of education in Singapore. And our hope and our aim is for these research findings to not just have an impact on the Singapore education system, but also to have an impact globally. because many of the issues, many of the challenges that are being investigated have global relevance. So I want to thank all of you for taking time to come to this conference, and I want to wish all of you a very, very fruitful and happy time in these next 3 days. And I believe that the conversation is going to be so rich, because I was told, and this is the last point I'm going to say, that I was told by the organizers that they have deliberately arranged sessions so that there will be presentations by teachers, presentations by researchers from institutes of higher learning, so that the conversation can be both ways. So the research findings can be discussed not just from an academic's perspective, but also from teachers who are doing research perspective, who can ask questions for researchers to continue to think about the impact and the implications of their research. So last of all, I want to thank the organization committee. I think you have done a great work, and I know that the next 3 days are going to be very fruitful ones. So thank you once again, and welcome to NIE.
Thank you, Director. Let's give another round of applause to Professor Goh for the inspiring speech. What a remarkable performance. It really got our hearts pounding. I would just have to introduce this group. This performance, Festival Drums performance, is jointly put together by students from Rainbow Center Yishun Park School and Chongqing High School Yishun. As the students are putting away their drums, allow me to share a little history about festival drums. The festival drums, or Jielinggu, are special as they represent the manifestations of weather changes, agricultural activities, and natural phenomena inherent in the seasonal periods. The colors are symbolic too. Red for auspiciousness and passion, black for perseverance, and yellow for Chinese culture and tradition. The group is unique in their performing style, as it is a combination of the Chinese martial arts, calligraphy, and dance. Now, we will be inviting the performers out on stage. We would now like to invite Professor Christine Goh, NIE Director, on stage to present tokens of appreciation to two student representatives, Ms. Angel Chen and Mr. Muhammad Talha bin Noor Irwan. The students will be receiving the tokens on behalf of the Festival Drums Group. There is also a request from the students to take a photo with the minister. May we invite Minister and Professor Kenneth Poon, Conference Convener and Dean of Education Research, NIE, on stage for a photo with the students. Thank you. Please return to your seats. It is now our privilege to invite our guest of honor, Minister for Education Singapore, Mr. Chan Chun Sing, to deliver the opening address.
A very good morning to all of you, and to our international guests, a warm welcome to Singapore. Today, we live in an age in which technology and society are evolving faster than what most of us can naturally adapt. Technology is evolving faster than what most of us can naturally adapt. So the question today before us is not if education should transform, but rather the pace and extent of this transformation. Let me build on what Christine has mentioned and sketch out our burning platform. First, the pace and scope of technological changes allows, and it also requires us to reimagine how education is delivered. Consequently, we will also have to reassess what counts as success in education. Education must transcend the mere acquisition of knowledge, because knowledge is increasingly commoditized and ever-changing. Instead, education must be about the acquisition of skills and dispositions for lifelong learning, especially to learn those skills and dispositions that distinguish us from machines and algorithms. It will therefore also mean that our measure for success cannot be just the first 15 years in school, but more importantly, the next 50 years beyond school. Second, we are all now living in a more fragmented and more fractious world. The ability to connect and bridge differences through new perspectives and propositions become more important than ever before. It means that known knowledge and skills alone, while necessary, will no longer be sufficient. Holistic development with the right dispositions to connect, create, and contribute becomes more important than ever before. Third, individual and societal expectations of educations have changed and will continue to change. With heightened demands for more personalized outcomes, more timely and relevant skills, and yet greater versatility to adapt to ever-changing needs. All of us know no one enjoys being taught to the average, and there has always been a challenge for teaching to a large group of students. But no one enjoys being taught to the average. Neither is it very effective. The challenge for us now is how to shift from mass access to education to mass personalization or customization. How do we use technology and data to overcome the conventional educational trilemma of achieving quality at scale, proliferation at speed, and affordability at cost? So the trilemma. We always have this trilemma in the past. Achieving quality, speed, and affordability. Trilemma because it used to be said that you can have 2 out of 3 at best, but seldom all 3 together. But I think, as I will explain later, we have a chance to break this trilemma. So before us, we are confronted with 3 sets of challenges and opportunities. First, how do we apply our understanding of the science of learning while harnessing technology to augment our capabilities? How will advances in the field of neuroscience and cognitive sciences change how we teach and learn? How will we achieve mass personalization by leveraging generative AI and EdTech in general to complement our teachers in the classroom and to deliver timely and relevant learning and feedback for each and every learner? Second, how do we develop all our learners holistically beyond content knowledge? How do we foster their social-emotional growth and their capacity to engage with the world and relate to others different from them? And third, how do we empower our teachers to build and leverage on partnerships beyond our schools for collective success? Let me start with the first set of challenges and opportunities. New pedagogies. The science of learning can help us to better understand how our learners learn today, with and without technology and the internet, and how their social-emotional foundations are formed. Through neuroimaging, we can observe how learners' brains develop and which part of their brains are activated when they come across different learning settings, individually or in groups, face-to-face or virtually. This can then help us explain the learning challenges each and every learner encounters, whether they are deeply or not deeply engaged in learning, or if they have some specific learning difficulties and are struggling with specific concepts. We can also measure how the brain changes following effective learning. All this will help us to personalize teaching and learning approaches according to the individual needs and characteristics. As Christine has mentioned, NIE is now deepening the science of learning to add value to the art of teaching. We have been focusing on our school children for some time. We must now also extend the study of this science of learning to preschoolers and adult learners. We have started work on the preschoolers, and we need to start work on the adult learners urgently. And if anything, the work on the adult learners in the next 50 years beyond school is even more challenging than the preschoolers and the school-going children in the first 15 years. Our GUSTO study, or the Growing Up in Singapore Towards Healthy Outcomes study, has for more than a decade, important research findings that we can build on, and you can help us guide our preschool curriculum development. This is especially so in enhancing the physical development and well-being of our young children. But we need to do more. And we also need to do more in the adult learning space. And this is why I've been encouraging NIEC and IAL, the Institute of Adult Learning, to actively translate some of these new insights to transform our teaching of young children to adults. Admittedly, we have still a long way to go, but we must get started as soon as possible. And this is why I'm encouraged to learn that IAL and SUSS are actively thinking through how we can apply the science of learning not just to preschoolers, school-going children, but also adult learners. In our schools, we have started to use tools that provide real-time, data-driven insights to deliver more personalized educational experiences for our learners. For example, the Short Answer Feedback Assistant in the Singapore Student Learning Space, or SLS as we call it, our national online learning platform, uses generative AI to provide feedback to students. It was previously only able to provide feedback for closed-ended questions. We will soon be able to do the same for open-ended questions as well from June 2024, which is next month. How it works is that teachers can input suggested answers or rubric descriptors that are aligned to the national curriculum or other learning outcomes into the system. This means that our students will receive more targeted feedback across a wider range of learning experiences. Another example is Math Check Plus, which was introduced by SEAB to schools in 2023. The Math Check Plus leverages AI to customize tests based on each student's ability, adjusting test difficulty according to students' performance during the test. It measures students' performance on core knowledge and skills in primary mathematics. More importantly, it provides valuable information on their learning gaps, which means that our teachers will have a keener sense of which student may need more help with which topic. But the beauty of this is that it's collecting data not just to provide feedback to individual learners. As we collect more data, we will also be able to better understand the challenges faced by a class of students or even a cohort of students, and what better ways we can apply in teaching them concepts from different approaches. And this will strengthen our pedagogical practices. So these are just but two examples of how we can better empower our teachers to help our students learn better with EdTech and data. But I want to say this. EdTech recognizes that each student is unique. Our aspiration is to proliferate personalized learning systems at scale to cater to individual learners and their diverse learning objectives and the unique context which they are in. Such proliferation of technology in our lives must be balanced with teaching our learners how to use technology in the right amount, providing the right content, with the right relational support in an age-appropriate manner. So let me be clear, these tools will not replace our teachers. Their professional judgment has to be first and last mile to bridge what technology provides us and what our students need. In fact, as we incorporate more technology into teaching, the greater the judgment is required by our teachers on when to use, for what to use, for who to use, and how much to use. This is the new craft that our teachers must master as part of their professional development. Just to give an example, we already have preliminary experiences that tells us that we cannot apply EdTech uniformly across all teaching contexts. A simple rule of thumb that we have come to is this. For high-ability students, having high-tech can be a tremendous advantage because it helps to stretch them. But for high-need students, we don't often start with high tech. In fact, for high-need students, we start with high touch to settle the social-emotional foundations before we apply the appropriate technology to them. So same subject, same class of students with different needs, we must be able to use different edtech to help them achieve the outcomes that we desire. It is not a one-size-fits-all, and certainly the more we apply edtech to our teaching, the more finely calibrated we must be in our approach. And this is where the skills of our teachers must come in the first and the last mile. Now, let me move on to the next set of challenges and opportunities that involves having to develop our students holistically beyond just content knowledge. For our students and parents, a wealth of information is readily accessible through internet search engines today. More than even what our teachers may be able to master. Therefore, the premium is on our students' ability to distill, discern, and to discover from what they see, rather than just regurgitating content knowledge. And the teacher's role becomes that of a facilitator for discovery, rather than a didactic transmission of information. And this requires new dispositions in our teachers, to be a facilitator for discovery, rather than to use the conventional didactic approach. All this then must be anchored on a robust social-emotional foundations for our children, a lifelong passion for learning and a zest for life. How do we inculcate such dispositions in our children beyond just content knowledge will be our new challenge. And these dispositions will be even more important than the content knowledge as they learn throughout life. So our students must then be able to cultivate the ability to connect across cultures, to work and to learn in teams. This includes having values such as respect, integrity, and responsibility while understanding and appreciating diversity. They must also learn the relational skills to manage and harness diversity to create new value propositions with people from different backgrounds. What do all this mean for pedagogy? We must then explore new ways to help our students to learn independently, to master the subject matter, and skillfully and creatively apply it to real-world situations. We must then support students in developing empathy, perspective-taking, and relational skills to work collaboratively and harmoniously across diverse groups. And this is especially important in a fractious and fragmenting world. In Singapore, we call all these dispositions and skills part of our 21st century competencies, or 21CC. 21CC's competencies are in fact much more challenging to teach and to master than conventional subjects. And we will need to discover and implement new and novel ways of teaching and helping our learners to acquire such dispositions. The establishment of the Singapore Center for Character and Citizenship Education, or CCE, by MOE and NIE last year is but one part of this effort. So I encourage all teachers, practitioners, to keep exploring new ways, not just to deliver the content knowledge, but more importantly, to help our students acquire those critical dispositions to learn for life. This then brings me to the third set of challenges and opportunities, partnerships. And this was also mentioned by Christine and her team. Partnerships will help us to move from the classroom as our world to the world as our classroom. Today, our stakeholders, including parents and industry partners, have elevated and more diverse aspirations on not just the learners, but the outcome of our education system. As education researchers, we encourage everyone to look out for the unexplored possibilities and capitalize on the opportunities of the community, the industry, and the world around us. Reach out to the world around us, bring in new perspective, bring in new connections, so that we can enrich our teaching and we can enrich the learning of our students. As teachers, it is our job to broaden our perspective beyond our classroom so that we can bring the world into our classroom and have the world as our classroom, be it the real world or the cyber world. And this, in turn, helps to better equip our students to become skilled and confident enough to take on the world in time to come. As our students transition from school into subsequent stages of their lives, learning should not and must not cease. We must better organize ourselves if we want to build an ecosystem that encourages lifelong learning. What are the future skills required by the economy, and how can we develop these skills? We then have to build partnerships with industries to facilitate channels for them to articulate their demands for skills, and then to work together with them to aggregate these demands across industries. Having done that, as a system, we must then activate the supply to meet these demands through our Institute of Continuous Higher Education, or what I like to say, the Institute of Continuous Learning. And for the institutions, we have to continuously seek out not just the cutting-edge technology, the cutting-edge faculty of the frontier sciences, but also the frontier science of teaching adult learners. And this is a blue ocean where it's vastly unexplored for us to achieve breakthroughs in the years to come. To do this well, our teachers and faculty will need new skills, and we have to help our teachers to acquire these skills to collaborate with parents, industry, and the community. And I must say that this is not something that will come naturally. In fact, I have conversations with NIE's faculty, and we ask ourselves regularly, how do we, in the limited or finite time that we have in PGDE, to inculcate in our new teachers not just the latest pedagogical practices, the best pedagogical practices, but how do we help them to acquire those skills, to build partnerships, so that in time to come, they can leverage on those partnerships to enrich their teaching. Now, that is another new area that we have to look into. So today, while we help our students to acquire the skills to collaborate with parents, industry, and the community, we must also make time for them to understand the world in context so that they can bring back the teaching in context. Now, this challenges us to build new disposition in our teachers to navigate the complexities of education, to be responsive to the diverse needs, be resilient through the challenges, and most importantly, be resourceful to continuously enhance our teaching practices, learning beyond the education fraternity. And all this must come from a commitment to lifelong learning by our teachers first. If our teachers can exemplify the spirit of lifelong learning, then we have that much a better chance to inspire our young learners to be lifelong learners themselves too. When we do this partnership piece well, we will break down the divide between academia and the world. In fact, there will be no divide. In fact, our teachers will be the bridge between academia and the world. And it will not be a binary choice of the world nor academia, but instead it will be like a double helix, reinforcing one another as we continue to develop our strengths. So, if we bring all this together, we can say this: pedagogy will and must continue to evolve, but the significance of our teachers' roles endures. As we adopt more technology and diversify our pedagogies, it becomes increasingly critical for our teachers to adeptly apply the appropriate pedagogies and technologies to suit each student's needs. Our teachers must be both scientists and artists in their professional practice. Scientists in the art of using data and technology research. Artists in combining all these diverse tools in a way that brings out the best in each child. And this is what makes our teachers special. This is also what that will garner respect and inspire the next generation to pursue a career in teaching. So let me pull all these threads together with a bit of an aspiration to summarize this. An aspiration towards the pedagogy of one. What do I mean by the pedagogy of one? In medicine today, we talk about producing medication or drugs in a batch of one, customized to the genome of the individual. That is what people are talking about in medicine, the batch of one. Can we challenge ourselves and ask ourselves, can our education system be similarly customized to achieve mass personalization at scale, at speed, with quality and affordability to achieve the pedagogy of one, where each and every child has its own customized learning journey? We have always aspired this throughout history. And I think today we have in our hands the technology, the data, and the collective experiences of our teaching fraternity to give this our best shot, where we can achieve mass personalization, where every learner's education journey is crafted to their unique learning needs based on their unique dispositions, leveraging not just on the insights of their learning journey prior, but also leveraging on the insights of the collective experiences of learners across time and space, so that we can customize the way we teach according to everyone's need. Now, is this too far-fetched? I don't think so. If we look at and take a leaf from gamification and the next generation adaptive learning systems that we already have today, we can today already dynamically achieve mass customization to produce content and pedagogies that respond to a learner's needs, progress, and preferences. And this is a dynamic process whereby the next level of challenge that you will be taught or encountered will also depend on how well you have learned the previous level. And if we really can do this well, then assessment for the sake of assessment or assessment for the sake of comparing with one another will be history. Instead, assessment will be closely intertwined with the lessons and the pedagogy for the individual learner. So in essence, if we can aspire towards, in medicine, the batch of one, we can similarly do so for education. If we recall history, in the early days, when education was first made available, perhaps only the privileged, royalty, and few will have access to this. And this privileged class will have what I call many to one. Many teachers to one student. That was version 1.0. Then progressively, we move towards many to one to become one to many. But one to many has the challenge of teaching to the average. It doesn't cater to the high needs, nor the high abilities. But what if one day we can cater to the many to many, but each customized to the individual? It is something achievable. But I do not want us to get the wrong idea. The pedagogy of one, the essence of the pedagogy of one, is paradoxically not about solitary learning. Far from it. It calls for an environment where each learner brings their best to the team, collectively cultivating the dispositions to be creative, collaborative, and to learn for life. It is about coming together as one community, blending the physical and digital realms to learn beyond the classroom walls, and together transcending the barriers to forge new connections and create new and better ideas. One seamless, integrated, lifelong, and dynamically evolving learning ecosystem. If we can get this right, then we will go beyond the debate of classroom size. If we get this right, we will go beyond the debate of classroom size, because you can have a classroom of any size, but everyone can progress and learn at their own, according to their own needs and pace, with the pedagogy of one, because they have adaptive learning system that can customize the content and the pace for each of them. That may be a vision that will take some time to realize for everyone, but I'm certainly confident that today we have the seeds of this concept already in place, and I can see some of these being practiced across our schools already. But having said that, the pedagogy of one will require our teachers to acquire even deeper understanding of our students' needs, the potential of the world, the potential of the technology and data that can come with it all. So the art and science of teaching has become more demanding, more elevated, but certainly more fulfilling. And one can always argue that actually, throughout history, our teachers have always aspired towards this pedagogy of one. But we were never very able to achieve this because of the constraints of resources and time. But today, with the technology, with the data, with the experiences, we have the best chance ever to do this well, but we must have the urgency to do this fast. If we can do this, this will be a true mark of our professionalism, and it will certainly inspire respect from our society and inspire the next generation to join us. So on that note, I wish you all the very best in this conference, and I look forward to hearing your new ideas on how we can better mass customize pedagogies across the entire cohorts of students for us to truly bring out the best, where teaching to the average will be history, where assessment for assessment's sake will be history, but instead, teaching is always customized in context to the needs of the learner. Teaching is always based on the data, the technology that we can use to help us to stretch the high abilities one and to leave the high needs one, where assessment will always be to help our students be more prepared, be better, right-sighted in the right environment for their next learning lab. And if we can do all this, teaching itself will also be a much more challenging, yet much, much more fulfilling profession for all our teachers in our system. On that note, I wish you all the best, and I hope that we will learn from each other, and I certainly hope to learn from all of you on how we can stretch the potential of our teaching fraternity in service of our nation and learners. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister, for the illuminating speech. A pedagogy of one for customized learning is indeed a goal we can all aim for as a community. May we give Minister another round of applause. I would now like to invite Ms. Goh Swee Chen, Board Chair of the NTU Board of Trustees, Mr. Lai Chun Han, Permanent Secretary Education and Chairman of the NIE Council, Mr. Wong Xiu Hong, Advisor MOE and Deputy Chairman of the NIE Council, Ms. Liu Wei Li, Director General of Education, Professor Christine Goh, Professor Kenneth Poon, and Dr. Dennis Quek, Conference Convener and Center Director for Center for Research in Pedagogy and Practice, on stage for group photo taking. Thank you, Minister and distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our opening ceremony, and we thank all our guests for your presence. Minister will now take his leave. May I request that all other guests remain seated as we have a short announcement. Lunch is served outside the auditorium in the foyer. As you enjoy your lunch, early lunch, please do visit the exhibitions and posters on display in the foyer too. There is also an NIE exhibit where you can find out more about our 4 research centers, NIE research publications, and speak with some of our journal editors. The first keynote session will begin at 1 p.m. Kindly be seated in the auditorium by then. Thank you and enjoy.